All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Sorry for the delay. I was in a different mode. This will definitely be better. So, welcome everyone. I am here with you tonight to go through the final days. We're in the last 2 days of the Azure AI Skills Challenge. So, I'm going to give a moment for people to join us because we had a bunch of people on multiple platforms, but we are now live again. So, hopefully, you will find us and join on in. I will give you a brief update as we let people join back in. This week, I was in, every week I'm somewhere. You all know that. um, but this week, I was in a wonderful, amazing event, the Voice and AI event, as well as Gov Summit, hosted by Pete Erickson and his amazing team at Modev. It was amazing. The main reason why I say that is because I got a chance to teach my very first live bot building session. Now, that's not true. I've done them live for clients, like where I go on site and I teach the bot building workshop, but I've never had the opportunity to actually go live in a conference setting, right? Where people were from all different types of companies, different professions. And it was so much fun. Now, what I'm going to do right now, since I am live, is I'm going to go and do what I did at the last one, which is ensure that right now, I think, oh, there we go. I'm going to grab the link to my stream and then I'm going to copy and paste it into my school program. So we all have a community called the I Love AI community. So I'm going to head on over there right now and I'm going to actually edit the link that I put in there so that my community can come and find us. The cool thing is that we have over 1,000 members of the community, all organic. Like we just have been connecting with each other. I've been telling people to join and it's been really fun. So those people, if you are in the community, welcome. And if you are not yet, it's not too late. You can see the QR code right on the screen and you can join. It's free to join. We do calls every single week. We hop on a call. We do happy hours where we just get to know each other. But most importantly, we do live education where I just kind of teach what I know, but not just me. There are a bunch of other luminaries in the group that also teach what they know. And it's across lots of different sectors, from power and energy to healthcare to finance to tax pro, all of these amazing different perspectives. So that is really cool. Then I'm going to go ahead and also drop that link into here we go. Thank you. I'm going to also drop that link here. And I'm going to also drop it in somewhere else. Let's see. I thought I put it in here, but I must not. Oh, there I am. So I'm going to drop the link over here. So I'm just populating all the places so people know where to find us. Save. Okay, cool. So we should have most of us joining right now. Oh, yeah, good. We're getting back there. Okay. I'm watching our number go back to where it was before I abandoned you all, but I think it's much better now because now I can share my screen and you'll be able to see it. So when they ask you to do the mobile view, don't do it. Because even on mobile, it's too small, especially if you're going to share your screen. Maybe that's just it. Maybe they were thinking I'm just going to podcast and I'd be a talking head. But you all know me. I'm not a talking head. I don't like to just talk. I like to do. I like to do more than I talk, show more than I tell. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So what I'm going to do now is actually share my screen and walk you through the purpose of today's session. So it's got this name, the AI Skills Challenge. And it looks like Sherilyn's watching. So Sherilyn, you should post it on LinkedIn. The link to the YouTube channel if it's not live in LinkedIn. But the purpose of this live tonight is because we have 2 days in order to satisfy the requirements for achieving a badge in the AI Skills Challenge. Now, I wanted to tell you sooner, but I've had an incredible run over the last couple of weeks. The first thing, I was in Australia a couple weeks ago at South by Southwest Sydney. And then after that, I came back and went to DC for the new DC Startup and Tech Week. I was the keynote there. And then I went to the Yankee Alliance in Rhode Island and was the keynote at their annual event. So it's been a bit busy, but I didn't want you to miss out on the opportunity to learn how these challenges work and why you want to pay attention. So I'm a Microsoft MVP, which is why I know about these things, but I also have a Google alert. I mean, I don't think there's a Bing alert that I could set, but I have a Google alert that tells me when the Azure AI Challenge launches. Now, there's also Azure Skills Challenges that are not geared towards AI, but I'm going to share with you the Azure AI Challenge that's going on right now. Now, these challenges do happen at two different, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. They're aligned almost always to the events that Microsoft is doing. So right now we're in Ignite season. So Microsoft Ignite is typically an event that's geared towards kind of the business user, people that are looking for business value, that are of course very interested in AI, are learning AI, but from the perspective of they're not, hardcore techies. They're not typically those people that are building code in the organizations, that are the data scientists and data engineers. They're typically product owners or company leadership. So the perspective is a little different, but the technology is just as important to understand. Now, come May of next year, we'll have another skills challenge, or at least it's been this way for the last few years. We'll have another challenge, and that is around the build event. So Microsoft Build is for the other side, right? So Ignite is for the business user. Build is for the builders, is for the developers, is for the data engineers, the machine learning experts and specialists. So these are the so there's two different ways for these things to work. We're almost back at our number that we were at before I left. Thanks for joining back in, everyone. By the way, I'm going to open up the chat. Glad you found us again. Alonzo's here. Thank you. I did try to put it in our community, but anyway, good. Thank you, Daniel. Awesome. Yes, Australia is full of cool people. I could not agree more. Awesome. Okay, great. So if you are watching this, amazing, Yuvica, thank you for sharing. And actually, it's a great opportunity. No matter where you are, you can actually share what the screen you're on. You can hit share and share this link with your people who know you, follow you, because this technology it's not unique to me, but it is a cool opportunity to credentialize yourself. And this is a philosophy that I have. Not only do I have, but I've also tested and validated. It is a great way to create a bit of momentum. Let's face it, right now, for those of us in career transitions, or we're looking to get out of a role maybe and get into a new role, or we're starting a company, any of these types of things, it's really important that a third party validate your expertise in many different ways. And one of those ways is through these types of badges. Now, there are multiple badges that happen in this credential program that I'm about to walk you through. Some of them are little. They're kind of like milestone badges as you go through the entire credential. Those are not as important. You're not going to post on LinkedIn per se that you finished one module of a larger course, but you can. I said this at the end of the last live that I did. I'd encourage you to share as much as you want to, as much as you can, about this learning experience, because I don't know if you know, but people are watching you, like you specifically. If you are watching me, people are looking at what you do. They're following you on social. Every one of you probably have at least a follower or at least one connection. I mean, for goodness sakes, I'm following you. So keep that in mind, that as you go through this program, as you go through different credentials, it's not necessarily for you to be like, oh, look at me. It's more for the person just behind you that's kind of like, should I do it? I don't know if I'm capable. I don't know if I'm smart enough. I don't know if I have what it takes. And then they see you do it and they're like, okay, well, I know Noelle. And if Noelle could do it, I could do it. And it gets people motivated. And so if you believe in kind of inspiring people, being inspired, what do they say? Like, be inspired and inspire others. I think it's a great opportunity for you to just share your journey with them as you go along. And I'll show you what that looks like as we move forward. But the AI Skills Challenge right now, it lasts till November 1st. There are a bunch of them to choose from, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can kind of walk along with me. And I could have set everything. Well, actually, I did set everything up and I was like, well, that's not very realistic. So I'm actually going to walk through it as if we were doing it for the first time. We're going to spend about an hour and a half together, give or take, maybe shorter, maybe faster, depending on how much time it takes me to set things up. But I will give you enough information for you to then go heads down and just knock out the rest of the project. I'm going to go through, I think, the first 3 or 4 sections. And by then you'll have a very good idea, and you'll also be more than halfway through the credential and you can get it. There are multiple types of credentials you can get in the skills challenge, and I'll share those with you right now. So amazing. Thank you everyone for joining. So cool. So nice to be here. Okay. So I did lose a couple people. Oh, I just turned off my camera by accident. I meant to hit share screen. So I'm going to share my tab. This, I'm actually going to go to the AI Leadership Institute. So this is our AI Leadership Institute right now. See, it says we are live, Azure AI Challenge. So that is happening right now. Here we are. However, I'm going to just use this tab to show you what I typically do. Now, what I'm going to do, and like I said, right now, I said this in the last live, but just quickly for those, we've got more people actually now that have joined us than were with me before. So as a result of that, I'll just remind you, we have 2 communities that you can be a part of. I'd encourage you to join the I Love AI community, and it's very easy to actually find us. You could just go to my name, noel.ai, and it'll show you, it's a very simple page. It has our free community. It's a way to kind of check the vibe and see if you like hanging out with us and learning with us. But sometimes, at least in my experience, I want to actually be in a dedicated learning experience where I'm like putting my fingers on a keyboard and building something. We just on Monday did our very first live conference-based bot building boot camp, but we host them virtually in the AI Leadership Institute every single month. And it gives you a bot building account, not on Azure, actually. It's a no-code account that allows you to build a bot for a small business and learn how to build a responsible AI system end to end in less than 4 hours. Super fun. But like, some of you may not know whether or not you want to get too deep into the world of AI or be part of the community. So I encourage you, just join I Love AI. That's the QR code on your screen. Join I Love AI, and that will give you an opportunity to really understand and kind of see how much deeper you want to go down this fun and amazing rabbit hole. Okay. So that being said, now I'm going to do what I normally do, which is I'm going to show you how I get to the skills challenge every time it starts. And all I do is I just Google or Bing. I'm in Chrome. Don't at me about not being on Edge. But Chrome, I'm just going to put in Azure. Oopsie. Azure AI Skills Challenge. I've obviously typed it in before, but either way, I don't have to put Microsoft, but you can. I've done that before too. Skills. Oh, there we go. And so I just hit enter and Google will surface up for me the AI Skills Challenge. Now I'm going to click on the AI Skills Challenge, and I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see it. So the AI Skills Challenge, again, it happens twice or 3 times a year, depending on the types of activities that are happening. You can choose your challenge. You are going to want to log in. So if you don't already have an account tied to a Microsoft identity, you'll want to do that. Though I would just create one if you don't have one. It allows you to create a Microsoft Learn account. The benefit of this is that you can collect, all of the learning that you do will be tracked, and it'll allow you to get a badge or certification saying that you've done that work. And that I think is pretty important. You'll notice here, we need to complete all challenge content by November 1st. So that's why we're here right now. It did start over a month ago. That's okay. If you feel stressed about this, we're only going to do one. But next time, I will let you know well in advance. I won't be in Sydney. I might be in Sydney, but I'll be in like Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. But I'll definitely make sure we let you know ahead of time. But I thought it would be good. Like, this is how I roll. I think to myself, like, I found out about it and I was like, oh, I'm going to go do it. And then I immediately was like, I should share it with people. So I'm live with you. It wasn't super premeditated. I think a week ago, I decided to do it. I told our communities I was going to do it. And then today I thought, you know what? I should just do it live for everyone. So that's why we're here. So what you'll see down below is all of the challenges that are available. So just really quickly, we're going to go through the Azure AI document intelligence section, which hopefully you can see there. Oh, I'm going to switch these. There we go. What? Oh, good. Awesome. Great job, Kayla. So Kayla finished the, I'm going to move this over here. Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do, where I want to put this. But Kayla finished it already. Awesome. And so do not feel obligated that you need to finish all the sessions with me tonight. I'm just going to show you how I go through it and give you a little bit of excitement that I have because I understand a lot of the history behind this project. So I can share with you some of the fun details as we go through it. And I want to just show you how not easy they are to attain, but how attainable they are. So you'll see here, there's document intelligence. There's also building intelligent apps. So if you are interested in actually building applications that leverage this, like for web developers, if you are an application developer or a web developer, a full stack developer, you can now leverage the APIs provided by Azure AI services, and you can embed them in your web application to just completely transform what you're capable of doing. I'm going to actually do. The other one, I do like this one too, creating agents. How many of you have heard about agents? I mean, everyone's talking about creating agents, agentic AI, and how are we going to build systems that connect a bunch of models together and orchestrate model behavior. So if you have, this will be a great way for you to get some experience doing this. Again, we're going to do the first one, but I just want to share with you some of the other options that are available. And again, they won't take you too long, maybe a couple of hours. So if you want to do a couple, you absolutely can. Fabric is one of my favorites because it'll show you what it takes to use Fabric. If you don't know what Fabric is, it represents kind of this data mesh concept. It allows you to connect a bunch of different data sources together and create a single pane of glass or a single data access layer that you can use to access all those systems. Very nice from an architecture perspective. But the reason that I think it's useful to know is that many times as you build an AI system and you start to choose to implement architectures like RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where you can actually tell the AI system where to retrieve the answers from. Sometimes those answers aren't retrieved from a single data source. Many times, especially in enterprises, there could be 100 data sources. Fabric allows you to kind of overlay those 100 data sources with a single interface, making it much easier for your bot to get what it needs when it needs it. The next one is GitHub. My personal favorite. This is how I started. So during COVID, I was invited to become part of the beta testing team for Codex at OpenAI because I was a Microsoft MVP. I tested out what eventually became GitHub Copilot. And of course, this model also sits inside of the GPT for Omni models as well. So really cool. Right now, if you do a little bit of research on software engineering, leveraging AI, we're seeing just massive innovation in this space, allowing us to remove all the scaffolding language development work we used to have to do in building building structures and building typed variables and all of the kind of hard parts of language, of programming languages now gets a little bit more simplified because we can leverage a model to do it. Most importantly, unit testing, functional testing, integration testing. Like we can build test suites just by asking it to build test suites based on the code that we have. So some magic happening in this space, certainly something to play around with. And probably the most important thing is securing your data. I think as we move from playground to production in more and more companies are going to realize, as a matter of fact, I was just working with an energy company maybe a year ago. And in talking to them, they got excited, right? I mentioned this in the last live, like baby tiger mode, right? So like everyone gets excited in the early days of AI. If you know, you know. I talk about this little guy all the time. His name's Bruiser. Everyone gets excited in the early days of AI. They usually identify a use case that's very exciting and novel. However, in those early days, no one's really asking hard questions. No one's really saying like, wow, how will we integrate single sign-on? Or how are we going to integrate this with our enterprise access system? Or how are we going to manage the security and privacy of this data? How are we going to integrate it with our existing data governance policies? Because it's not fun, right? Like these questions kind of take you down a notch, and people like to be excited and they like to show all the new bells and whistles and cool things you can do. But at the end of the day, if you want your AI to go to production, you're going to have to lock it down. You're going to have a really good handle on how you're going to provide security, privacy, explainability, interpretability of the models that you're building and deploying. And so I think this is also another great avenue to go down if you're interested in that. If not, you can always come back and do it again later. Now, one of the things that I really appreciate that Microsoft has done recently in the last couple of years is they said, we recognize that some of you are going to just want to know how this works, but there's another set of people, a subset, if you will, of everyone who wants to understand this technology. There's a subset of us who want to get our fingers dirty, right? Put our fingers on a keyboard and build with this technology. So they've decided to create an applied skill accreditation. So that's what this is down here. Rather than just saying, yeah, I read the tutorial and I walked through the demo, this is going to allow you to apply the skills in a real project and get a badge that credentializes that project work. I personally love this, but it starts first by understanding the technology. So this, of course, allows you to, it'll give you a lot of different information about it. We're going to go right into the very first one, which is document intelligence. I'm just going to make sure. Let's see here. I'm going to just every so often fly back and forth. Yeah. So Sky, I ended up just to find this page, I ended up just Googling. Actually, let's see if I can change something around here. I'll put it on the screen. Okay. So let's see here. Lower third. All right. I'm going to stop this thing and I'm going to put a lower third and I'm going to edit this and say AI skills. Oh, I'm going to say Microsoft, but just Google Microsoft AI skills challenge. And I'll put it in the lower third here. Let's see what happens. Yay. So just Google that. If you Google that in, it'll bring up exactly what your, it'll be the first thing that shows up. It's in Microsoft Learn. So hopefully that is helpful. I'm going to go back to the chat, just make sure I'm answering questions along the way. Yeah, so we are going to be doing the introduction to the Azure AI document intelligence piece. Absolutely. Agent Force launched today. What's up? Good. Awesome, Kayla. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, GitHub launched, the GitHub Spark. I mean, it's going so fast. I wish they would just give me a minute to digest this stuff. Alexandros, good to see you. Do I have any advice or specific resources to share in order to get deeper knowledge after completing the courses? Well, as a matter of fact, when you complete the course, Microsoft will give this to you. But one of the things we do in the AI Leadership Institute is we actually do dive a little bit deeper. What I like to do, and this is what I'll encourage you to do, Alexandros, is that there are what are called solution accelerators that Microsoft created, and they deployed they're inside of GitHub. And so you could actually go, and I'll show you them before the end of today. I'll show you where those are. So those are a little they're solution accelerators from the perspective as they already presume you know the tech. So they're giving you kind of a pre-built Python project to rebuild yourself. So I'll share those with you as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I did go into Daniel, I don't know where you're posting it, but I did go into the community and repost it in both I Love AI and the AI Leadership Institute. And maybe I will post it here too. I mean, I did post the YouTube video. Anyway, hopefully that works. Okay, great. Awesome. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to go back. My cat is here with me because it's after hours and my time to be alone is over. So we'll all just enjoy the extra attention. So I'm going to go ahead and choose register now. I'm already logged in. So you'll see this here, Noel Russell. But when you click register now, it's going to take you to a registration page. So you're going to want to take a moment now. If you don't have an ID, create one. If you have an ID, log in with it, and you should see your profile show up right here. That's my professional email address at the AI Leadership Institute. And so that's the first step, is to create a Microsoft account. You don't have to create more than one. You will only create, this for this purpose, but it will allow you to capture your progress and earn your badges. Now, I talked about this the other day in our AI Leadership Institute. Oh, no, it was in our Solution Architect course that we're teaching in the Leadership Institute. And in the AI Solution Architect course, I mentioned how the algorithms work, especially on LinkedIn. So it's really important that you don't just, post that you did a thing. It's important to really dissect what you did and then document it in the form of a project or in the form of a position on your LinkedIn profile. It triggers to the algorithm, right, that's monitoring and bubbling up your profile to recruiters that you actually have done this work. And I believe by the end of this, you will have the opportunity to actually build a solution. It's based on dummy data, but you can go and build it a dozen times with different types of documents. So you'll get a lot of experience doing this, and I think, you'll want to make sure you represent that on your LinkedIn profile so people know that you are a doer, not just a talker. And that's really what is differentiated about this challenge. So I'm in here now. You'll notice we have a day and 16 hours. No pressure, everyone. So I am going to show you right now. You can see the leaderboard. One thing, some people get very competitive about this. So the day it launches, maybe that's why. Okay. I'm going to have to. Okay, there. The day that the skills challenge launches, many people go and do as much as they can, as quick as they can, so they can get ranked on this leaderboard. There isn't really, it's fun. Some of us are competitive, but you will get on this leaderboard after completing all 8. There's no way, like, it's just a level of completion. There's not, you got, 100% or 80% on a test. Like, everyone passes if you complete the exercises. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So now that you're here, it'll give you a reminder. It does end November 1st. So you're going to want to do it. I would say finish it by tomorrow night. When you go into the AI documentation, like the Document Intelligence Challenge, a couple of things are going to happen. And this is why, Kayla, great job going through the first 2, because the first 2 units are really kind of fundamental AI Azure units. So if you know a lot about Azure already, or if you know a lot about Azure AI already, that'll be a bit of a repeat, but I'm going to give you some of that context right now. So here is a list of all the things that you're going to want to do. You'll notice some of these I completed earlier today so that I could show you what that sequence looks like. But first, we're going to talk about fundamental AI concepts. What is artificial intelligence? Many of you, at least the ones that I can see here, already know this, but still read through it because it's going to ask you some questions and you'll have to be able to pass it. If you want, you can go right to the knowledge check, but there's some cool stuff in here. I'll show you in just a second, but let's go through the whole thing. So AI concepts, Azure AI concepts. So how are these services architected within the platform? Then document intelligence and what that actually is, how you will plan a solution. This is probably my favorite, because this skill set of planning a solution, you can now, let's say you're a consultant. After doing this, you will have enough knowledge to actually go and plan out. It doesn't have to be real for like a real client. You can create a fictitious example and build out a net new solution. I will give you some good ideas, but you can even just Google or ask ChatGPT for, what would be an example of a use case or a problem that a customer has related to document intelligence, and then solve that problem organically with your mind combined with AI by planning that solution, building with the pre-built models that are offered, and then going through. And so you'll notice each one of these 21 minutes, 49 minutes, it just depends on how fast you work. So I've done these all. I think I went through the whole thing in about 2 hours, all collected. I think they say, I don't know if they tell us how long it takes, 4 hours and 15 minutes. So I've done it in about half that time. But again, it's because I kind of had some pre-knowledge, right? I already knew Azure AI. So take your time, but I'm going to walk you through all of these components. This module, pre-built, using pre-built models, extracting data, creating a document, building document intelligence in Azure AI Search. These are they increase in complexity, and there are exercises with each, which means it's going to give you a lab guide to go in and build it. The challenge, unfortunately, is that you do have to have an Azure tenant to play in. If you have an Azure tenant to play in, great. If not, I will be doing some of these demonstrations myself so you can see how it works. It's free. So here I'll also share with you. I think I'm going to do it right here. So I'm going to go into, actually, I'm going to wait. I'm going to follow the instructions as you will, and show you kind of the architecture of the learning path. And then we'll go into actually testing out document intelligence, which is the first thing that we'll have to do. So the fundamentals, this one, again, most of you will be able to kind of breeze through. It takes 36 minutes to read. However, there is some cool stuff in here. So you'll notice they break it down into tiny little segments, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, but all of it, most of it is going to be text that you can read. This is why I thought it'd be fun for us to do it together. Now, an introduction to AI, I actually do think this video is pretty cool. So I would go back and watch it, or, don't watch it maybe right now, but I would go back and watch it. But the gist of this is to understand that AI is more than generative AI. As a matter of fact, generative AI is kind of like this tiny little thing when it comes to the big scheme of things in artificial intelligence. And much of what we're going to do in document intelligence will be different than what you've learned or gotten excited about in the world of generative AI. However, the document intelligence models have gotten so good, they are leveraging generative AI to increase the amount of metadata we can capture in a form or in a document. So it's actually very good. So now it can just be much more detailed in the kind of thing it identifies. And that's because the team themselves have implemented generative AI to help with that annotation. So that's kind of cool. But for our perspective, we're going to use these models as applied models. So if you, of course, hopefully you are familiar with some of these terms. I'll just go through a couple quickly. Document intelligence, if you're new to that, is the ability to look at documents, meaning PDF documents, physical paper documents, and be able to extract information from those documents. You can go on I have many different document intelligence learning sessions that I've done on my YouTube channel. So you can search, you can also look it up. There's lots of PMs at Microsoft that have also done these as well. But the purpose of document intelligence is to provide the ability to look at a document, extract text, extract images, extract unstructured documentation and information from that document to make use of it in a software system. And that software system could be a knowledge base that we're going to use to answer questions. So imagine I am able to, let me see if I have anything useful over here that I can reference. Oh, yeah. So let's say, a lot of these companies have these manuals in PDF form. Some of them have it in physical form. Some of them have pictures of these documents, like pictures of every page in a single document. So wouldn't it be great if I could go in, extract it? In this case, this is a marketing class that I teach, and it's got a 40-day email sequence in it, but it's like text, right? Like it's actually text on the page. Wouldn't it be great? Like, I know my students always ask me, like, don't you have a Word doc with all these email templates in it? And I'm like, no, because I actually want them to type it. But in the world of document intelligence, I could scan in every one of these pages. I could extract the text. I can even use generative AI to then take that extracted text and create the email sequence and set it up for deployment. Like, it gets very, very interesting when things are kind of locked in documentation. Financial services, healthcare, education, government, they tend to be the industries that are very closely aligned to this area. You'll notice this is it, right? All it's doing is giving you a premise. It's warming you up, if you will. Do you know what an AI is? Do you understand computer vision? So computer vision is the AI, a algorithm, a machine learning model that understands images. And if you know, like DALL-E or Midjourney, those are generative models that create images, but we need a model that can see images, right? you might have heard of certain tutorials, like I want to build a model and then I want the model to tell when I give it a picture if it's a cat or a dog. On my YouTube channel, I created a video where I used computer vision inside of Azure to help me detect whether we were going to Disney, and I wanted my kids to be able to tell if it was Chip or Dale that we were looking at when the chipmunks came up. And there's a way to tell. And so I built a machine learning model that could identify and detect which one was which. So computer vision is the way machines see colors, images, video. And so that's a huge part of what we're doing, because we're going to actually, inside computer vision is a subset of, not only do I want to see an image, but I actually want to see characters. So it's OCR, optical character recognition. I think we talk about that a little bit later. But I feel like it's very important as you think about document intelligence, that you immediately start thinking about, well, what are the types of models that align to a document intelligence workload? And that would be computer vision and OCR and text analytics. And we'll go through each one of those. So once you're done, like now we know a little bit about AI, you'll say complete module. Oh no, that's not great. Hold on. Oh, it says I completed it, but let's see. Isn't that funny? Like, really, you're gonna go offline? Okay, that's okay. No problem. So no problem. I'm gonna go back. Seriously? Okay, I'm gonna go to you guys. Is it down right now? So you don't need to. This is a great question. So I'm gonna answer some questions while I wait to see what happened with my service. Yeah, exactly, Jacob. Just Google it. Hi, Jean-Marie. Good to see you. So do you need to pay for a Azure tenant? You do not need to pay for an Azure tenant. Oh, what should you be seeing? Right now, you should be seeing the Azure Fundamentals page, which is this one. I'm going to go now and search for, I'll show you. What I was going to do is try and click on one of these. So now let's see if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Oh, it's stuck a little bit. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and reshare. Hi. But let me answer this question. Yeah, it might be frozen. It happens from time to time. I'll reshare. But to answer Daniel's question for around the tenant, when we get to that stage, it does expect you to have a tenant. You don't have to pay for it, because when you sign up for a tenant for the first time, you get a $200 credit. And everything you do in the course of a skills challenge, or you could do, I think, all of these and not hit that limit. But what you'll notice in the lab exercises is at the end, it will tell you to delete all your resources. So please make sure you do that, or you will accident. I mean, how many of us have been burned by cloud bills that surprised us? So AI is very similar. These models will run, and you could end up consuming charges against your account. Now, there is a way to do this for free. Like I said, you'll create a free account. You'll get credits that you can use to do all of these lab exercises. And then it turns into what's called pay as you go. So you have to pay per usage. One way to not get around it, because some of you are going to build stuff that you should pay for, but for those of us that are continuing our learning journey, you can also go to, and you're in the startup world. If you're in the startup world, you can go to Microsoft Startup. I think it's Microsoft Founders Hub is what it's called. And the Microsoft Founders Hub allows you to get even more credits because you're a founder. Most of you are startups. And if you're not, you start a company right now. And that will be great. Okay, I'm going to reshare my screen so we can go back to that. There we go. Share. Oh, yeah, we're better now. Okay, cool. So let me do it side by side. Hopefully you all can still see that. Maybe I'll zoom in. There we go. Okay, so now we're looking at the learning path, and I'm just gonna, let's go here. We're looking at the learning path. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. And the first one is the introduction to AI. This is what I was just talking through. So you'll see it takes 2 minutes to do the first session, and you'll get 100 experience points doing it. What is AI? I'd go in and watch this video. It's pretty cool. Some of you have seen it because I've shown it to you. But this is what I was mentioning earlier about the different types of AI terminologies, different workloads that are that we're leveraging. Whether it's computer vision, natural language, speech recognition, knowledge mining, generative AI, right? So it's good to have a sense of what these terms mean. And I just went through that with you. So when it's done, I'm going to try and hit complete module. Yay. And it says, you're amazing. And it gives you a badge. And then you can share that badge with the world. So I'd encourage you to do that on X or Facebook or email, or just grab the link and share it later. Share it on your personal website. It's like I said earlier, it's not really about you being like, wow, look at me, I did this thing. It's other people are going to notice that you did it and maybe be inspired to go learn something themselves. I'm a big believer in that. So now it says, keep on going, go to the next module in the learning path. So what I'm going to do actually is go back because I want to keep going on this path. Hopefully, I'm going to check to make sure you all can still see what I'm doing. Yes. So now that we've done that first one, we're going to go on to the second one. This one's 4 minutes long. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one. Don't worry. I'm not going to bore you to death with that. Yes. Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that. So the yes, because somebody who's just coming in and looking at the looking at the notes in the chat, they'd be like, oh, it must be frozen, but no, it's not frozen. So now that we've done that, let's go and take a look at machine learning. So I'm going to say, understand machine learning, and you'll see it doesn't take long to go through this. But here's something I think, again, it depends on, we're hitting a large audience here. So we have people who aren't as familiar with machine learning as others. Machine learning, for the most part, the most important thing you need to know about it is that it's not new, that it has been around for decades, that we had what's called an AI winter. Let's hope that doesn't return. But we are now in what we would now maybe call AI summer, where everyone's out at the pool enjoying a good time. But machine learning, there's what I like about this little section, it'll give you some really good use cases, where we're going, what we're currently doing. But I want to just share with you a little bit about how machine learning works. Now, older, or I should say models built more traditionally, not through generative AI and transformer architectures, more traditional AI comes in certain flavors. Now, I'm going to encourage you, if you are in the I Love AI community, or if you haven't joined yet, please join. I do have an AI leadership masterclass where I teach this in like a little bit more entertaining way. Yeah, right. So that is an option for you if you want to know way more about kind of the history of machine learning, as well as all the different types of models that are out there. So I'll just give you kind of the high level. There's supervised learning and unsupervised learning and reinforcement models and general adversarial networks and CNNs. There's so many different models to choose from. But the way machine learning typically works, and this is still true for generative, is that you build an algorithm, and the purpose of the algorithm is to have an outcome. Many of you have heard me speak, and the number one goal, the number one thing we need to do when we start an AI project is determine the problem, identify the problem, and then figure out the metric we're going to use to measure how our solution has. Oh my gosh. My Moxie robot just woke up. That freaked me out. Oh my gosh, that was so scary. So I think it's because my cat stepped on the plug or something. But with these, a supervised model anyway, right? These algorithms, once we pick an algorithm, we then will identify, even before we pick the algorithm, the first thing we're doing is identifying the problem, figuring out a metric we're going to use to measure the success of our solution against that problem. And now we're going to go and try and find a model that can help us predict a answer to that problem, right? How can we use data to generate predictions? This used to be called predictive analytics. Well, that evolved over time to become the ability for us to create supervised models where we'd train an algorithm on a bunch of data. We'd give it, we'd take a data set and split it into one half of the data we'd use to train the model, another half of the data we'd use to test the model to see if it's good. Today, I still use that with the computer vision models that we'll talk about today, and the document intelligence models. I still annotate. I'll go in and I'll provide data that's annotated so that it knows what's what. Like I'll draw boxes around an image and say, this is the name field. This is the date of birth field. This is the passport field. So I'm annotating to the model and describing what success looks like. And so that's typically how machine learning works, is that we teach it. That's why it's called machine learning. Now, more advanced algorithms begin to learn by detecting patterns. It's called unsupervised learning. So they can detect patterns in data and learn from those patterns. But with unsupervised learning, we still need to give it some guidance. And so this is where a concept known as reinforcement learning with human feedback often comes in. And with generative AI, it's extremely important. How do we tell the model what's good and what isn't without actually annotating 500,000 records and feeding it the data manually? So unsupervised models give us the ability to do that. Now, like I said, you can go through and you can watch some of these videos. They're pretty cool. But the most important thing is that you could see here's an example, right? A team of botanists and scientists collect data on wildflowers. And this is the video that kind of goes through it all, so you can see it. We then, and this is it's really the part that I think a lot of applied AI scientists were like, wow, this is awesome in the world of generative, where it removed the requirement of annotating so much data, that this data was now kind of pre-annotated at scale. But in the past, right, we'd say, I want to build a solution to solve, this wildflower problem. I'm going to have a bunch of people collect data, in this case, botanists and scientists. We're then going to label all the samples with the correct species, literally draw a box around it and say, that's a pansy. I don't know wildflowers very well, so this is not a good example for me, but I'm going to go and label all of these wildflower species. Now I take that label data and I feed it to an algorithm. And now I take another part of that data set that's unlabeled, right, that doesn't have any cheat codes in it. And I feed it to the model once that model is trained, and I ask it, what do you think this is? And if it's a pansy and I trained it and they look similar enough, the model's going to say, oh, there's a pattern match here. I have a winner. And it's going to predict that the answer. And then what I really like about supervised learning is that it also provides you a confidence metric. It'll give you a level of confidence on whether or not it thinks it is or isn't that thing. And that confidence I use to determine how much training or how much more training I need to do. So now that we have like a baseline understanding of machine learning, it's really important to understand what it means in Azure. So Azure has several different platforms for machine learning, and most people don't know this. So I'm going to share it with you. The first one is that there is the ability for you to use what's called the Azure AML or Azure Machine Learning Studio. And inside the studio, we have what's called automated machine learning. Now, this is not to be confused with no-code machine learning, though it has much less code. It even could be no code. But no-code machine learning is not easy by any stretch of the imagination, because the model that you're creating will have dozens, if not 100, hyperparameters, like different knobs and bells and dials that you'll have to change in order to get the behavior of the model to work. And so even though you don't have to write any code, you still have to know how to configure the model. So it doesn't alleviate you from having to know what machine learning is and how to do it. It does, however, save you the time of programmatically declaring it in a coding language. And that's awesome. But a lot of people, when they hear automated machine learning, they kind of think shortcut or newbie gets to do really advanced things. That's not really what I've seen it be successful doing. I see it more as being successful to people who already know machine learning, where you already understand all of the flips, the switches, the dials, the knobs. You know what they already do. You used to do it in code, but now you can just click, 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 and have the same thing done where it took you 2 hours to configure it programmatically. That's a huge, huge win. Today, though, we have started to see automated workflows inside Azure ML that allow you to build an entire machine learning workflow without any code whatsoever. And it's very tempting. If you've never built it in code, why would you if you know you could click a couple buttons and get there? I encourage you, though, as you're on this journey, to build a model from scratch at least once, maybe 5 times, but at least one time. I said this to our AI solutions architect community. I'm teaching a class on Maven for AI solutions architecture, and it's so important to do it one time. Again, you can even be handheld, like you can go into an existing model and just step through it. But it's really, I think, very useful for you to go through the motions of seeing how a model is crafted in code. You don't have to build it yourself. You don't have to learn the coding language. I think it's useful, though, to step through it. And Python, as well as GitHub, give you a great platform for stepping through complex Python structures. And that'll show you like, oh, I see what happened here. And you can see when variables are being used. And you can see, like, again, I do this all the time. I'm constantly stepping through different solutions that I find on GitHub just to kind of see how they did things. And the more you do it, the better you understand it. And I think that that's a critical part of understanding what's available as well. Now, there is a designer tool that does make it no code whatsoever. It's all designer, drag and drop, WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, which is very nice. Again, huge time saver for us, those of us who have built models before, but also really great tool for those of us who are just learning and we really want to have a successful outcome very quickly. These tools are great. Probably where I've spent the most time in my career is in notebooks. So these notebooks are the notebooks that I have. I think that we were talking about before, right? These solution accelerators, pre-designed end-to-end solutions are actually full built Azure notebooks or Jupyter Lab notebooks that allow you to kind of step through the entire architecture of an application. And that is, in my mind, where I've learned the most. So when you complete this module, it's going to ask you a bunch of questions. I've already completed it, so I'm eventually going to get to the point where it asks me again. When you get to that point, it's going to ask you to do either maybe we haven't gotten to a knowledge session yet. Has anyone gotten to a knowledge? Oh, I finished the course. We need to do the applied assessment at the end. Yes. Cybermind. Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah. So it's pretty easy to flip through this content. What I'm going to encourage you to do, which starts very soon, if not next, I'm going to go over there and see how it goes. So I'm going to move on to the next one. The next module on the learning path is not either of these. So I'm just going to go back and make sure that I'm on track. And normally I just open it in a new tab and then come back because this is the path. You'll notice computer vision. I don't think it was telling me that. So this is now completed. Understanding computer vision. So you can go through these, right? These are pretty simple 5-minute, 7-minute reads. Very simple. This is more anecdotal than practical. For the fun purposes of this, I'm not going to walk through all of these. You can go and read this on your own. It'll take you less than 30 minutes to read through it all. And you'll get this little badge that you can declare to the world that you did it. But more importantly, you can inspire someone to do it too. What I do want you to spend a little bit of time looking at is the last two sections. The challenges and risks in AI. Again, for those of you who are in my community, we talk about this stuff all the time, as well as responsible AI. The reason I want you to do that is because inside the responsible AI section at the you'll notice what it does. And we're now in 8 of 10. I guess I could have just done it here too. Anyway, we're now in 8 of 10. There are very specific tenets of responsible AI, and these are different in every company. In Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, NVIDIA, it would be awesome if they all could agree, but everyone has their own unique take on responsible AI, and it's fine. But I do think it's useful to understand Microsoft's perspective because that'll give you insight into why they did certain things inside the AI platform itself, which we're about to go and take a look at. There's also some great resources here. If you go down to the very bottom, though, of this content, which you're going to all read and watch, you'll notice some of these tenets are very similar to the tenets I say in my keynotes and my workshops. The ones I use typically start with transparency, explainability, fairness, robustness or reliability of the system, and privacy, data privacy, and data governance and sovereignty. You'll see some similarities, but it's not in the same order. And I actually like accountability. I really like that. I used to not want to call it responsible AI or even AI ethics, because ethics injects a sense of subjectivity, right? It's through the lens of what someone thinks is ethical. And what I found out is that being a data scientist at Amazon Alexa, helping out with the technical programs that we were deploying at Microsoft, I realized that it's not about someone's ethics. It's about being accountable for the outcomes that your model will generate and knowing that it will do more than you're currently thinking, and what your responsibility is in holding yourself accountable to that outcome, right? That potential to hurt or be unfair or be misused. And so accountability is one of my favorites, but I didn't really think about that as a responsible AI perspective. I know, Jacqueline, it's so cool. So these are my favorite. Right at the end of some of these sessions, you'll see some really useful resources. There are some responsible AI resources here, as well as what I have used on client projects, this framework for building systems responsibly. There are a bunch of frameworks that Microsoft offers. One of them is the AI system safety framework. One of them is the responsible AI system development framework. Print it off, look at it, learn how to whiteboard it. Again, just make it part of your vernacular, even if you're not a Microsoft person. Like I am, but I mean, I wasn't. I was an Amazon person, and now I'm both. When I go to a client, I want them to get the best technology and capability available. And we are in a multi-cloud world. People used to be all in on AWS. There still are a few people like that. But now we're in a world where you can get the best of breed. Now we're seeing, if you're on Azure, you're using a Meta model, or you're using a model from Hugging Face, or you're using a model from, even AWS, right? So there's an opportunity for us to really cross-pollinate. And so the more you can know about the way these different companies have built what they've built, I think is really valuable. All right. So I'm going to complete this module and go to the end. Oh goodness. Uh-oh. I may have messed it up. I'm just going to, it's thinking. I'm just going to refresh. There we go. Keep up the great work. I will. See, don't you feel better already? Like I feel like I'm achieving some magic here. So now I'm going to go back a little bit to that list, right? So this is the entire AI fundamentals overview. It'll take you less than an hour, I think it'll be 30 minutes, especially with what I've offered you already. So now once you have that, I'm going to go put this in here. Control C, Control V, sorry. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. All right, awesome. So now that I'm here, we've now completed the AI fundamental concepts. The Azure AI concepts is how you're going to leverage and use the Azure platform. This is useful if you've never been on Azure before. I, of course, have, but I'm going to just show you very quickly what it is. It's going to show you how to configure a service. It's going to show you how to provision your tenant. It's going to show you how to connect your service to a studio. These are all very important steps that are necessary for you to be able to do the labs that are throughout the rest of the challenge. So I'm going to show you practically what this is going to tell you. But again, you should just visit it a little bit, go through it. Again, it doesn't take long to go through it, but you do need to understand it. So I'm going to right now go into the Azure portal, and you can go to the Azure portal by going to portal. I actually just Google Azure portal, but it's portal.azure.com. Once you're in here, you have the opportunity to create a resource, and that's what's going to ask you to do first. When you choose to create a resource, there are lots to choose from. I was so excited when we first got added to, oh my goodness, my cat is going to step on my keyboard. When I first got added to, when our team first got added to the blades inside the Azure portal, we were not first, right? We were way down at the bottom because nobody was using us yet. But now we're first. And I know it's alphabetical, but it wasn't always that way. So it's really, really exciting to be able to very quickly tell you, in order to find your Azure AI and ML services that you're going to be deploying, they're right at the top. So under categories, you'll click on AI ML or AI and machine learning, and you'll see there's tons to choose from. In the document intelligence example, you're going to be using Azure AI services, and you're going to be leveraging, let me keep going, document intelligence, otherwise known as forms recognizer, because it was originally a very small model that just you could feed it a form and it would recognize the context of the form. What's happening back there? All right. So those are the two that we're going to use. Now you'll notice right away when I'm on this, it automatically gives me a shortcut to create the services I want. I'd encourage you though. Oh no, you can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. Copy. My bad. It's because I'm sharing a very specific tab. Paste. There we go. Oh, it's going to open it. No, we're good. Okay. So that's what happened. It opened in a new tab. My mistake. Okay. So here is the portal and here is Azure AI, AI and machine learning. And when you click on AI and machine learning, you will see these services. The two services we're going to use are, I'm just going to make it a little bigger for you. The two services we're going to use are, I passed one. Azure Search. Oh, that's Azure AI. Well, you could use Azure AI too. But we're going to use Document Intelligence. And we're also going to use Azure Search, but Search is its own category. So Document Intelligence is the one it's going to ask you to create. So when it asks you to create this resource, this is literally what it's going to tell you to do. Go into your tenant, hit Create Resource. So if I go back to home, right? I log in. You're going to be here. It'll look something like this. You may not see all of these because these are the ones I use all the time. I hit Create Resource. It takes me to the list. I click AI plus machine learning. And now I create the resource it tells me to create. And in this case, we're going to scroll down and create Document Intelligence. This is going to create the server, like the service instance that we're going to connect to a studio so we can play around with it. It's analogous for those of you who are playing around with generative models and ChatGPT. It's analogous to building a model in OpenAI, grabbing the API key and using that key in a UI playground. Same exact concept, but these are not generative models. They have generative capability in them, but they're not generative. So here it'll ask you to use a subscription. Again, you'll get a subscription with some credits associated with it. I'm going to show you this so that you can kind of see how it works. Here is my suggestion. Every time you do a challenge, especially one that's not actually, I'm just going to say every time you do anything, create a new resource group. So I'm going to call it October Skills Challenge. And okay. So now when I'm done with the skills challenge or I'm done with this, I can just go to the resource group and I can delete the whole thing and all my resources will go with it. The benefit to that is I don't have a strag. I mean, one time I deployed Azure Search, which is a hefty service, and I deleted the resource group, but forgot to build the search in that resource group. So it ended up staying alive for like 30 days. Anyway, it was a surprise, a pleasant, unpleasant surprise at the end when I got that bill. I was like, what is going on? I actually thought someone had hacked into my system, but no, it's just because it was running a database. Anyway, some of you know Azure Search, like it's a pretty hefty service. It connects a bunch of other services together. Anyway, so don't do that. Create a resource group. Everything now will go into this resource group. And when you're done at the end of every lab exercise, you'll just delete it. And then you recreate it when you start again. Now I'm going to create a name for it. So I usually use it like Doc Intel, and then I'll just connect it to October Skills Challenge. Pricing tier. Notice here, and maybe I should make this a little bit bigger. I need to make sure I'm still sharing my screen. I am, plus. Oopsie, maybe not that big. So now I tell it the region. So some of you are not in the East US. Not all services are available in all regions. Pick the region that is closest to you. These services are well established. The newer services, you'll see that list will get smaller and smaller. Like the Azure OpenAI service, for example, it was originally deployed in US East only. And now it's expanded and now it's overseas. And so it's better now. But even then, it's not in every availability zone. So make sure that you make that selection accordingly. Give it a name, choose a pricing tier. Now you can see that there's a free pricing tier. It gives you a sense, 20 calls per minute. Like that's pretty decent. I'm not going to do much more than that. And I can see the full pricing details. If I click on this link, it's going to open up a separate tab that'll show me pricing information. I'm not going to do that for you all. I choose next, but technically you could just review and create. But for your all intents and purposes, I'll show you what to do next. So you'll see it gives you a network opportunity. I'm going to say all networks. It also next allows you to choose identity information, leveraging a managed identity. Again, in production, this is valuable because as a well architected cloud provision service, you want to have an identity, meaning a authentication, like a access control policy for every single service. And you want to have that orchestrated in a larger RBAC strategy. We're not going to do any of that. But you would do that if you were going. Remember, in the early, like when you get to production, one of the questions you're going to have is like, how do I make sure this is secure? This is one of those decisions, but we're not deploying a production resource. It's just for testing. So I'm going to turn all this stuff off and I'm not going to create a user assigned identity. Moving on to the next one, tags. This is useful if you are building a dev environment, if you have different teams that are going to create this. I often use this in hackathons. So I use my tenant. We deliver a hackathon and a bunch of teams play in my tenant. And so every team creates a tag so they can find their resources easier. Now, finally, we're in review and create. So we're going to go in, review and create. I can see the template that it's going to use. I love this because let me show you. At the end of the day, everything is code, right? Like we're clicking buttons. We're basically doing it in no code. But at the end of the day, every selection we made became a parameter that we're configuring. And you can see these here. You can expand them out. I don't know, maybe I'm a bit nerdy, but I like to see it. So I always click on this. I search through it mainly because when I have found when things go wrong, if I've never seen this before, it'll say something in like a stack trace or an error message, and I have no idea even where to look. But if I've spent a little bit of time here, even if I don't fully understand it at first, like don't be intimidated by not knowing, but you won't know if you don't look, right? So definitely spend a little bit of time kind of playing around with this. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And now I'm building on my subscription, creating a resource group in this region named this with free. Everything looks good. Now I'm going to hit create. And so now as it deploys, it's generating a resource for me. And I pray I don't forget that I'm running this because it's going to get late and I'm going to bail. But it's now going to deploy it. Now, I personally am a little superstitious and I kind of sit like a hawk and watch the deployment process. But technically, you can go on and do other things and come back and research this. So I'm going to stop sharing now as that's happening because I can only share one tab at a time. So I'm going to stop sharing and then I'll share a new screen. All right, so here we go. Let it go. So I'm just looking through this. We are seeing modules, not the portal. Oh, I think I fixed that already, right? Now we're back. Yeah, we're back. Okay. How do we get to this screen again? Did I show you, Daniel? I think I did. I think I went and showed you. At the end of the day, everything goes into JSON. Exactly. Okay. So you're with me. So the benefit, I have to be very careful because when it throws me into a new tab, you all don't get to see it. Let me see. What does this mean? Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. We're all good. So everyone is with me. This is super fun. All right. So now I'm going to go in and check my resource. It's still building. But cool. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now deployment is complete. So let me see here. I'm like, can I share more than one screen at one time? You guys wouldn't be able to see it if you're on your phones or an iPad. So let me not do that. Okay. So create a resource. I think it's this one. Yes. Share. It says I could share tab audio, but hopefully no audio will play. So you can see my deployment is complete. All is well. I can now go to the resource and see what it looks like. It's not fancy. Like it doesn't mean anything yet. But here, eventually it's going to ask us for the key, and we're going to use that key to lock into a new studio environment. So just want to share with you that that's here. So capture these keys now. And when we go into Document Intelligence Studio, which we'll do next, it'll show you how to test this. So this is the most important thing. Like going through the skills challenge is a vehicle to get you to actually start building. So I'm a badge person. I like getting badges. I like being like patted on the back and getting accolades. So I do it. But if it's just the vehicle you need to play around with this technology, that's why I do it. Is I find it pushes me to try things that maybe I wouldn't try by myself. Now, what I want to do is go back to, so I'm just gonna flip back to the challenge. There we go. Oh gosh, yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna flip back to the AI skills challenge and go into where we were. I think I'm showing you. Yes. So it says register, but it'll find me. Here we are. Let me go into continue learning. So I'm just headed back to our challenge and the steps that we're in. So I just showed you the fundamentals of Azure AI, right? You have a tenant, you have resources you have to build. The resources have keys. The keys you're going to need to connect to Studio so that you can play around with it. Azure AI is a special, you saw it in the service list. So when you go to create resource, Azure AI is the first one. That allows you to create an instance of a bunch of, like, notice this is plural. Azure AI services are all of those services. Azure OpenAI service is the service that connects you to ChatGPT's capability, right? So Microsoft took OpenAI's GPT models and productized them on Azure and called it Azure OpenAI service. So there it is different. It is N-1 from the model that you see on the on the website, on the chat.openai.com website. It's N-1, meaning that they took that model and hardened it for production use inside the Azure AI environment. So that you should know that it's good that they did that. But it also means that it's different. So the behavior is a little bit different. You'll have to apply some other things. So now let's jump into the fundamentals of document intelligence and tie the resource we just built to a studio. So again, what we're going to do here is we're going to, it'll give you some really nice, text around the types of things you can do with this studio. So I'll walk you through that quickly. You'll notice, again, very quick and simple sessions, but here's where things get exciting. Notice here, exercise, right? Exercise, extract data from a document or extract data in the document intelligence studio. This is where we want to be. Now, every one of these sections from now on will have exercises in it. When you click on this exercise is going to, basically, it's going to launch a browser. So I'm going to copy and paste it back into this tab so you can see it. Oh, no, it's local. Okay, good. Hopefully this is the same for you too. I felt like it launched a new tab last time I did it. But once I click on that, you'll notice it says launch exercise. Ideally, one day they give us a tenant that we can play around with in the browser, but that's not how it works right now. So instead, you'll see it gives you step-by-step instructions, right? So let me go back to here. Oh goodness. Oh, you're not seeing my tab. For goodness sakes. For goodness sakes. It did open in a new tab. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm moving it over. This is why I keep going back to check. It opened a new tab and I didn't even notice. Okay, here we go. So let me go back here. Oopsie, not too far. So I'm back in the challenge, right? And we're now inside the challenge. We're in fundamentals of document intelligence. In order to even start playing with this tool, this is the section you need to be in. Once you're in here, it has some nice words in here, but the most important thing to me is I might scan through this and look for the word exercise, right? Because I want to do the work. However, it's good to go in. Like, this is going to tell you in much better way than reading the documentation. It's going to say, okay, what are the, what are the concepts? What are the capabilities? What are the features? It'll show you exactly what you're about to do in the lab. Here's a receipt. And if I want to extract content from this receipt, right? How many of you have been on your iPhone and you've taken a picture of a slide presentation at a conference, and then this little icon comes up that's basically text extraction, and in your picture, you could just extract all the text from the slide. It's like awesome, actually, magical, really. So it's very similarly, except of course, we can integrate it now into any enterprise application that we're building, which is awesome as well. So this just walks you through kind of what these capabilities are. How are you going to analyze documents? How are you going to identify what different components of the documents are? Forms Recognizer, the basis for Document Intelligence Studio, Forms Recognizer is trained on the most common receipt types, driver's license, government documentation, healthcare documents. So all of these kind of standardized forms, but that doesn't matter because you can use, I would encourage you to use standardized forms for the labs you're about to do. However, it also allows you to, which you'll see at the end of the skills challenge today, you have the chance to create a custom form. So you can create, let's say, like that. This is probably not a good one. Let me see. I don't have any forms on my desk, of course. Maybe I do. Hold on. I can do it. Okay. Well, this is like, I won't show you exactly what it is, but it's like a judgment, a good one, actually. But it's a court document. So if I wanted to be able to, let's say I'm a paralegal and I want to be able to ingest a bunch of court documents and be able to pull out, well, I'll just read it out, like case number, division, judge, circuit court, right? Or court number, filing number, date filed, time filed. Like all of these are standard on every single filing. So imagine if I could just extract that and then index based on that metadata and then even tag the document. So inside this document, this is actually an adoption document. So inside this document, I might, be able to go in and tag specific things like the judge's name or even the plaintiff's name. And then, that's not what it's called in here. I don't think it's called a plaintiff. But anyway, I'm just making it up. But like the jurisdiction, like all these things, right? So I can feed this in and I can actually tag the document myself. Usually it takes 3 to 5 examples. Microsoft usually recommends 20 to 30 examples. But you feed in these documents, you tag it yourself, and then you can use the same Document Intelligence Studio to create an application for ingesting and filtering and searching on this content, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so let me go into Document Intelligence. There we go. So what I look for, oh my gosh, why does it keep switching on me? Okay, I got an idea. Control C, Control V. There we go. So when I click on fundamentals of document intelligence, this is the first one where you'll see the words in. So what I just did is I went through capabilities with you, high level. I went through some of the Azure AI document intelligence capabilities. But I also really want you to play around with the exercise. So when you click on this exercise, it's going to have you launch a PDF. Well, it's not really PDF, but it's embedded exercise instructions. When you choose exercise instructions, so you can see this now, right? It's going to give you step by step instructions. And this is the easiest one, right? But they get very elaborate. So this is like a lab guide. And again, you can print this lab guide if you want to. I sometimes do that because I like to check off where I'm at. But you'll notice the first thing it's going to ask you to do is exactly what I just told you to do, right? Like go in, find your subscription, select or create a resource with a unique name, put in your new resource name, identify your region. If you're in the Eastern US, you use East US 2. Identify your free pricing tier, right? We just went through that together. Hopefully you all saw it. All right, awesome. We need to see the new tab. Okay, I got it. I finally figured it out. Thanks, Sarah. The snow glows white on the mountain. You're so funny. Let it go. I'm too funny. Okay, so now back here, yeah, we're now looking at the same thing. So now we have just completed this. I did this for you. You did see that, right? If not, I'm going to go. I will show it to you again. But we did go through and look at how to configure that inside Azure. Now, at that moment, we definitely saw this, right? Wait for your resource to be deployed. Now it's deployed. Now comes the magic part. Like I could use this API key in an application I built myself and actually do document intelligence in an application I personally built. But why? When there's a studio tool that Microsoft built on our behalf. So that is the next step of the lab exercise is to actually go in, and now here I'll show you. I'm going to open this up. Yes, good. It opened in the same tab. So you can download this receipt. This will be an example, but go crazy. I've got lots of receipts. So just grab a receipt that you have and use that. But if you don't want to do that, they give you a templated receipt that you can use. I have lots of receipts and it's standardized that way. So I'm going to go back. Once you grab that receipt, now you're going to go and launch the Document Intelligence Studio, which I think was around here somewhere. Here it is. So at the very top, I'm going to click on this now, and I'm probably going to have to, oh no, all right. It looks like it's opening in tab. Cool. All right, I'm in. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. So these studio tabs basically aggregate a bunch of training tools into a single environment so you can play around with this, but they also provide production scale tooling as well. So we're using it to learn, but you would also use the same environment to actually deploy to a production instance. Yes, awesome. Okay, cool. I just keep checking to make sure I haven't I'm hiding it from you. Okay, so you can see here, there's lots of different things that you can try out in the studio, but this is my favorite. These are the pre-built AI models. So the pre-built AI models are models that were built and trained on specific document types, invoices, receipts, identity documents like driver's licenses and passports, health insurance, cards. So you can imagine the domains, right? The industries that are very interested in this. Because we were doing this manually all the time, right? When we would go into an organization that was very paper driven, we'd have to manually extract that information, scan it into a document center. Like it was very frustrating. So personal tax documents, US mortgage documents, pay stubs, bank stubs, checks, credit cards, marriage certificates, contracts, business cards. So what this means is that when you use one of these models, it's already preconditioned to take your receipts. Now, remember, they gave us a receipt in the lab exercise. So what we're going to do is go up and use the receipt one. Hold on. Hopefully it's going to load. Okay, let me see if you can see what I see. Yeah. Here we go. Okay, cool. So now remember, we just deployed our application. Yes, exactly. Imagine the good we could do by simplifying some of these crazy processes. And with the art of generative AI, we can now also do it in a multilingual fashion in much less time, right? Imagine like immigration, like what is it called? Border control, like all these things where people often passing through the border. I mean, I've gone into countries, I mean, European countries, which are very like established, and I still can't figure it out. And none of the signs are in English. And I'm like, huh. So, and I just kind of have to guess. And then I follow people and I ask questions and I ask around. But I imagine there's a lot of people that struggle with that. So imagine if I could have a mobile passport control type app on my phone that could help me through that process. It's just, yeah, there's so much good we can do with this. This is huge, like a whole business, honestly, in any one of these boxes could be built, helping companies digitize this type of work. So let's see. Okay, so we're looking at configure. So remember the resource. Now, this says configure an existing resource. Yeah, I think we have oh, no, I have an endpoint and key. So I'm going to provide the endpoint and key that I just created in the environment. So of course, y'all know I got to stop sharing for this part because I don't want to have to reset all my keys because it'll be on the internet. Could this be integrated with Chatbot Builder? 100%. So Chatbot Builder has what's called actions, and you can connect to any API. So 100%. And Copilot also has the same capability. Wow, that's pretty fun, right, Daniel? Like we could do some pretty cool stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna stop screen sharing, and all I'm doing is going back to the Azure portal, and I am grabbing that resource that I just created, and I'm copying. Remember the key that I showed you all? I hope I showed you. So I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna go to Manage Keys, and I'm going to copy the endpoint and the key. Actually, so maybe I'll show you this really quick. So I'm going to share this with you really quickly. I think it's here. Yes. I don't think I'm showing you anything crazy, right? So this is, and if I go back just to show you, right? So remember, I'm in my resource, which is this thing that I just created. And when I'm in this resource, I hit manage keys. And now you'll notice my keys are not visible. So that's why I'm able to show it to you pretty easily. But it also shows the location and region. Often this is necessary to give to the studio as well, and the endpoint. So this is what it's asking you for. This is how it knows where to go. And this is the key to get in the door to access this capability. So let's go ahead and, oh, cool. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing really quick. I'm going to add this key, first the endpoint, and let me see here. Here we go. So I'm going to enter the endpoint, and then I'm going to enter the key. I wonder if the key goes in invisible. I don't know, so I'm just going to do it myself. I'm not going to share it with you right now in case it shows you all. Yeah, it didn't. So there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to hit continue. So cool. Now I'm going to go back and share my screen again. So sorry for that tiny bit of privacy. So I'm back in the Document Intelligence Studio, and you can see I've provided my endpoint, I've provided the key, and now I'm going to hit finish. And now, like all good tools will do, because it's the first time I've been in this environment, and no cookies are preserved to say that I've never done this before, it gives me all these tool tips. Use this to query fields, and this to analyze options, and this to give us feedback. Please give feedback. They actually listen. And here's the best thing is, if you give me your feedback, I have direct lines to the product team because I'm an MVP in this product stack. So if you have not, hey, this is great, I'm going to presume you're going to have a good time with this. But if you find something that's really interesting and you want the product team to listen and take care of it, I'm on a distro list with the product team and all the way up through the VPs of the technology stack. And they take your feedback very, very seriously. I provide feedback all the time, but I'd be happy to extend whatever feedback you have to them as well. And I mean feedback in the sense of like, this isn't working right, or this should be better. And I can provide that back to them. So I'm just going to close these tooltips so you can take a look around. I'm going to hit plus, just so you can see. So here's, of course, a sample. I'm just going to zoom in so we can kind of see it. A sample receipt. You could see the options here, right? How to run analysis, barcodes, high resolution, font. I'm going to say, I don't think there was a barcode, so I think we're good. But this gives us the ability, and of course we can add new ones. So remember, I'm going to browse for files. I do think I have the receipt that we downloaded earlier. Yeah, that's the one, remember, from earlier. Let me see here. Using service endpoint and key. Cool. All is well. All right, awesome. So now I'm just going to click on it and just see what comes up. This is with no configuration whatsoever. It shows the items. It is able to, because it knows it's a receipt, it's going to identify the merchant address. When you hover over it, I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller so you can see how this works. When I hover over it, it's going to show me where in the document this piece of information is. Not so valuable on like a 7-field receipt, but imagine you're in a 200-page document, or you're in a very verbose legal document, or a healthcare explanation of benefits. It becomes very, very valuable. It'll also, so it itemizes everything that's on here, allowing me to see it. And again, this is where it gets fun, right? Browse for your own receipts, upload them, and see how it's tagged. The purpose of this is that now I have variables, right? This is going to be metadata stored in these variables that I can now access. Remember before, this is a supervised learning model. So with supervised learning comes my favorite thing, which is a confidence score. So you'll notice here on the side, let me go ahead and make that bigger as well. It's so fun. I love it. You'll notice over here, 99.4% confident, 99.5% confident. Let's see if there's anything that it's not. No, it's pretty confident in all this stuff. Little less confident on the merchant address, probably because it might not be the merchant, but could be something else. But pretty good, right? So that's really high levels of confidence. But again, it's not a very complex receipt. I would definitely look into the ones, you've seen these receipts, right? That have, I wonder if I have one around here. They have like transaction codes, approval codes, credit card codes. They have multiple addresses. They'll have addresses for where a survey can be sent. They'll have addresses for where the location is, where headquarters is. Like there's lots and lots of competing information. So seeing how it does in annotating that is really interesting, I think, as well. Awesome, right? Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure, Daniel, we do. Okay, cool. What do you think? It's pretty interesting, right? I think it's fascinating. I'm like, this is amazing. Okay. I'm gonna actually make this a little bigger. I am hoping that you're watching along on your computer. So that's why I haven't been zooming in on all of these. Like it's meant to just give you a clue so you can go do it yourself. But if you don't have a tenant, that's a whole nother thing. For those of you in the AI Leadership Institute, many of you did the Copilot Studio super user training with me, and you got access to my tenant. So if you are in the AI Leadership Institute, which is our paid community, if you are a member like Kayla, Daniel, Sarah, like I will give you access to my tenant to run these labs if you'd like. So just let me know. It's so awesome, right? I mean, I love it. Like this is just the beginning. And once you learn this, now every time you see, and again, this is just receipts, right? You just saw there's what, 20 other models to choose from. And that's not including the models you can build yourself based on these models, right? So all of these models become models you can customize to a very specific, because you'll notice all of the model types, of course, where I'm going to go back to the studio. All of these model types that we saw down here. Oh, let me make it a little smaller so we can see them. Notice it says US, US, US. So there's an opportunity, of course, to take a US model and custom train it on Canada or Australia or New Zealand or any of these other locations. But it's pretty cool. Like I'm such a fan. So what the rest of the skills challenge is going to have you do is number one, play around with this. But right now we're just testing it out. What you want to do is think about how does this capability sit inside of an overarching document intelligence solution. So that's the planning piece, which is the next component. And then after that, let me go back to, let me see if I can just flip back to the challenge. There we go. So I'm just going back to where we started so you can see where we are in the challenge. And so now, oopsie, continue learning. I should just bookmark this, huh? But anyway, it's fine. So the next one you're going to do is plan. Again, mostly words, but it's going to give you a good sense of like how to plan the solution end to end. For you solution architects out there, very cool. This could be one of your, like we have a capstone project in the solution architect training course. You could use this as one of your capstone projects. But so this is going to have you use the pre-built document intelligence solutions. So we're going to use read, write, layout. We're going to use financial data, tax data, and identification data. So you're going to get to play around with 3 different models in this exercise. And if you go down and look, again, I kind of cheat sometimes and go right to exercise. But in order for you to get your badge, you have to read all the stuff. So just skim through it if you must. There is a knowledge check at the end. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. They're usually quite intuitive based on what I've shared with you already. So here you'll see you have a large data set of documents with varying structures that contain customer name and address information. You want to extract entities for each customer. Which model would you use? Read model. I'm not sure. General document model or ID document model. Let me see. Customer name and address. I'm going to go with, what do you guys think? I'm thinking, so this is why you have to read because it probably means something. I think it's one of these two. I'm going to go with ID. That's what I'm going to do. Entities for each customer. Yeah, I'm going to go with ID. Maybe it's general. I don't know. Let me see what you guys have to say. Let's see. What do you think? RFP. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. RFP responses is one of my favorite solution sets as well. Oh, you guys can't even see it. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna move this over. Control C, Control V. I wish it would just stay in the same window. It's a little annoying, but I know why, because I keep having to restart because I have to stick it in the same window. So this is my favorite part of the exercise. So you want to get to the exercise inside of the pre-built document intelligence model. This includes a lab to complete. You're going to launch the lab exercise. And notice what it's going to do. It's going to actually build you a tenant. So this is super exciting. Hopefully people stay to the end because this is where, I mean, again, I don't want you to just use this environment because it's really important you get the skill set of doing what we started with. Provisioning your tenant, getting your 200 credits, creating a resource, and tying it to a studio. It only takes once, and then you're like, oh, I get it. It makes sense. But if you've never done it before, you should do that. Otherwise, when you get to this exercise, it's going to provision that model for you. Now, I'm going to try and this match, oh my gosh, to the number of rocks. This is cool. Okay, all right, cool. I wonder how many I have to do. Okay, good. All right. Oh no, what happened? Start again. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so you will have signed. Yes, there we go. Setup guide. Okay, where to go? Maybe it opened it up somewhere else. I'm trying to see where it's going. It should have opened it up in a window. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, let me see if I can grab this and put it. I don't know if it's going to let me, but I'm going to try and put it in the shared screen so you guys can see what the lab looks like. Yay! So this is where it gets very cool. And we're almost done. And I'll wrap it up because we've been here for 2 hours. Well, hour and a half because I messed up the first 30 minutes. But we're here for 2 hours. Now we're going to type in the password. You'll notice it's right over here. Oh gosh, allow. So I guess I should just, oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Is that it? Oh yeah, cool. Okay, awesome. Oh man. Okay, I type it in. That's pretty neat. Now I say go. Okay, cool. I double typed apparently. So now I'm actually on like a virtual machine. Is this not awesome? So now you're going to have your own. Now you will have to use your own service. So you'll see down here, you're going to go to the portal. Oopsie. You're going to go for like right here. You can see Visual Studio Code is in here. It's going to, before you create a document intelligence service, you must first go to the create a resource. So in a browser tab, which I open up, right? So this is going to allow you to simulate what I just demonstrated for you on my machine, but inside your browser. Fancy. Get this far. Do you know how many people never get this far in the challenge? That they never get to even see that it's free access to tenant-based resources. I just think it's amazing and awesome. The recording will definitely be available, Jessica. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely it will be. And I think we'll probably end up doing this whole challenge again inside of the Leadership Institute so that we could do it together live in Zoom. But I just got excited and did it with you all. But isn't this awesome? Like, throw a little love in the chat. If you think the fact that you get access to a virtual machine, I think this is fantastic. So you should definitely do this. So get to this part of the lab exercise, which is the 7th part. Go through the knowledge checks. The knowledge checks are going to ask you questions, so you do need to read it. But like I said, the reading part takes no time at all. Where you want to get some fingers on keyboard time is in the exercise guides themselves. It's going to display an exercise guide there on the right-hand, on the right-hand side. Then your center window is going to be the environment in which you will deploy. So this is a virtual machine. So you're going to open up a browser, just like I showed you. You're going to then go to Azure portal. You're going to then sign in, and it gives you the ability to really test it out. It makes it accessible, whether or not you have the bandwidth to do it or not. I mean, you do have to, because you're going to use that resource here. So yes, you do have to. At least that's my understanding. Let me go check. Let's go do it. All right. So let me close out Bing here. So I'm going to go to portal and do exactly what it tells you. I'm going to go to the portal. I'm going to, so now it's going to see, it says sign in with your subscription. So to Sarah, your question, it's still you. So now I'm going to have to sign in. The difference is I'm on this infrastructure. I'm using it. So, I mean, I know you're like, well, wait a second, but it does give you a virtual machine. So you don't have to worry about, any processing, access to anything. Like it runs all inside the browser. This also, you'll notice here, you get an hour to do this inside the context of this studio. Let me see. I'm just going to go down. This is exactly what I walked you through before. Remember, create the subscription, the resource group, all the same thing. But it's inside your tenant. And then open up the studio, add in your key, right? In this case, we're actually going to use language. So we're going to use document analysis. We're going to read, oh my gosh, my cat, read the document. And in this, I think we're going to use a German PDF. So it's just going to walk through a bunch of analysis that you'll do in the context of this. The reason they do it like this is so that you can side by side see the lab guide next to your environment, but it's still your environment. So I still have to I still have to log in with like my ID, which is a little annoying, but anyway. Okay, cool. Questions on this. So yeah, you do have to, you don't have to delete it and worry about getting charged. No, you do. Yes, you definitely do. So you get a new VM. Yeah, and it's apparently sponsored by Walmart. But you get a new VM, but the VM is just to create a separate space for you to use. Because you saw me, like I was flipping around between tabs. It gets very convoluted. And if you know my desktop, I have 100 tabs and 15 different applications. So running it inside the context of the browser is just to simplify access, right? Make it easy. But you do have to sign in with your own ID and your own credentials. All right. And then once you do that, follow the lab exercise. But I still think, I mean, it's very cool to be able to do this, like to be able to kind of have this environment instead of having it spread out on your machine or even taking up resources. So running these resources does, like, it consumes browser memory as well. And so if you don't have a heavy hitting laptop, it might get really stressful for you. Things will get very slow. Okay, cool. So let me go back here. I'm going to go back to the challenge. Collections. Yeah, it's okay. So now I have gone through, and so we did the planning. We've now used the pre-built models inside the launch. Now, technically, so let me go back in here really quick. If you're in here, notice here, it says you can, in the exercise, which it's going to launch in a new window. No. You'll notice here, it says you can launch the lab, but you can also notice down here, you could do it here too, right? So if you want to do it on your own computer, you can use this. So you're not required. I just think it's really nice to get a VM so that it centralizes all the resources in one location and you're not messing around with tabs and browsers and trying to co-locate everything. I think it's kind of cool. Okay, let's see. So after we do that, let's see here. Where are we? Oh, yeah. So pre-built models, that's where we're going to use text, language, analytics. Then we're going to extract data from forms. So we're going to add in a couple more models where we're extracting data from forms. And then you're going to create a new model. And this is my favorite because you're not going to build a model from scratch. The models already exist. You're going to customize an existing model. And all of these, again, you're going to be given the lab steps. You need no pre-knowledge of this technology. It's going to guide you. It's no code. So just have some fun with it as you go through. It does take, I'm going to give you, I don't know, I would say it took me maybe 2 hours. So maybe 3 hours if you've never done this before. 4 hours at the most. I mean, if you see here, this is an average time for people who had no technology experience at all, 4 hours and 15 minutes. But I think a lot of you will get done with it sooner than that. I know it's Halloween tomorrow, so maybe do it now or tomorrow morning if you can. But I think it'd be really fun. And if you finish the challenge, you will get a badge, and that badge can be, it's actually quite reputable. The LinkedIn, I'm sure you all know this, but LinkedIn is, I'm going to go back to this. LinkedIn is actually owned by Microsoft. So there is some algorithmic magic that happens when you post LinkedIn badges on your profile as far as skills and getting people to recognize the skills that you have. I don't know exactly how that works, so I'm going to stick to what I do know. What I do know is that the project area inside a LinkedIn profile is highly regarded when it comes to prioritizing. And I know this because I've tested it myself, but also because I've talked to the team. So, but if you go in and you start putting in project work, meaning this thing, like build a document intelligence solution, literally walk through this and then build a real one. Say, okay, I'm going to fictitiously think about the DMV and I'm going to help build a DMV experience. I'll show you what I did. I actually built one and you'd be shocked to find this out, but example DMV, sorry. License, driver's license. This is what I used to train my model. There are a bunch of example driver's license you can just grab and use to train, like to test out your model, train your model, create examples, right? So you don't have to use your own, use like a dummy one that you can find on the internet. This is true for all of the different types of data. So if you think about, everything from, let me go back, everything from healthcare documents, insurance cards, passports, like you can just go and grab dummy versions and use that for the purposes of your testing. Amazing. Okay, cool. So super fun. I hope you guys have a good time with this. My goal here was to set you up, let you know how, again, accessible it is. Obviously, I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing or we'd be here for 4 hours. And I think that's a long time. But I'm hoping I gave you enough proof in the pudding that you can do this, that this is accessible. It is not difficult. If you're in the AI Leadership Institute, ping me directly. Just ping me. You know how to ping me. You can either ping me on LinkedIn or ping me in the school. I'll be online for the next hour. And I'll give you access to my tenant. So that means you'll get a Noel or a AI Leadership Institute email, and I'll give you contributor access to the AI services. Only the AI services. I'd appreciate you not going and building out other nonsense. But if it's a benefit of the Institute, you'll only get access to it for like 3 days because the challenge ends on Friday. So I'll give it to you till Friday. But if you need it and it's the one thing keeping you from being able to play around, let me help you with that. It's the least I can do for you all being part of our community. If you're not in the AI Leadership Institute, you can definitely join. I will overlay that now as we close up and wrap up the session. But if I can find where I do that, hold on, design. Oh yeah. No. Oh my gosh. My cat's like, you're done. It's time to be done. You said 9 o'clock. It's time to go to bed. Here we go. All right. Awesome. So I am going to edit this and put in our little connection. So if you want access to learning by doing in lots of these types of sessions, much more hands-on via Zoom where we can interact and talk to each other, you are welcome to join us. This is the AI Leadership Institute community. These are like my protected people. So that's why I give you access to my personal tenant. I know you, I trust you, and we do good things together. But if you are part of this community, you'll get access to my tenant. So if you want to consider that, please do. And I'd be happy to have a chat with you about it. So save. Oh gosh, where'd it go? There we go. Save and show. There we go. So that is the link to the AI Leadership Institute. Again, it's a paid community, but you're going to get access to a chatbot builder tool. You're going to get access to of course, a tenant when we do these labs. So it definitely, and of course you get access to me. So it's hugely worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it today. It was really fun. I had fun, that's for sure. Oopsie, wrong way. Let me share I don't want to share that screen. I want to share me. There we go. So it was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please tell your friends. I do these all the time. We'll probably not get another challenge, but like I said, at the last minute, I was like, if I could get a couple of us to get this technology under our belt and expose it to you for the first time, like, I don't know, I feel a little bit better. Okay, let me tell you a fun story as the last thing I'll do today. I was at Voice and AI yesterday, and I'll try not to get emotional because it was super emotional for me. But I'm walking like on my way out, and this young woman stops me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Noelle." And I was like, "Yes." And I didn't remember who she was, but she's like, "Oh my gosh, I I know you from a couple years ago. You spoke, and I listened to you talk about, your journey becoming a technologist and how you did it. And some of you know my story, but if you don't, it's a good story. Um, but she's like, I heard your story and I was inspired. And at that time, I think she was in school. At that time, I didn't, she wasn't entirely sure what she wanted to do. She wasn't sure she could get into the world of data science. And as a result, this is her words, she got into data science, and she was like, I did that because I heard you speak. And I was like, what? And so she was like, she told me, she was like, my life totally changed because I heard someone who looked like me on stage say that you could do the thing you want to do. And that's what I wanted to do, even though people around me didn't believe it. And so I say this to you all, no matter what people around you say, there is so many cool things we can do in this world. And this technology can save lives, help people, make things more accessible. If there's something you care about, regardless of what people tell you, that you're not smart enough to do it, you didn't get classically trained in AI, you didn't go to school for this, it doesn't matter. And no matter what you're telling yourself, like, it's possible. And so now she's a data scientist in a company, now going on year 2. And she saw me and she's like, I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you. And we weren't connected on LinkedIn or anything. She literally saw me on stage and went on her merry way. And anyway, she sent me a picture. I took a picture with her that day. And it was just so cool. I was like, we're changing lives. Like, and you can do the same just by it. Literally, you learn this today, go teach somebody. Like, I always say, like, be willing to share this with someone you know, but also have the courage to share what you just learned with someone you don't know. Like, get online, do a LinkedIn Live, do a quick demo of your solution when you're done with it. Put it on YouTube. You'd be surprised who you can inspire. Most of us don't think we can inspire anyone. I mean, I'm shocked every time it happens. Like, I get teary-eyed because I'm like, what do you mean what I said was important? It was so awesome. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. So it's really, really cool. So amazing. It was so I hope that happens to you because it is life-changing. It makes everything worth it. All the hard work, all the no's, all the bad managers. It makes it all worth it when you realize, like, being authentically you, it's going to inspire someone. So that's why I encourage you, share what you're doing. You don't have to tell them all the nitty-gritty details, but don't be afraid to be like, oh my gosh, I started this challenge, and tell people it exists, because it's exciting to learn new technology, especially when you don't have to learn how to code to be able to build something pretty interesting. So have an amazing, amazing evening. Thank you for staying as long as you did. It is going to be captured live on YouTube, both versions. So it's live on YouTube. It will stay there. It'll also be edited into a much more concise, beautiful version for our AI Leadership Institute and the I Love AI community. So I hope we'll see you in there. It was super fun. Good luck. If you have any questions, any challenges, just reach out to me. Oh yeah, I should share the QR code once again. Somebody already hit it up again, but I'll share it. Oh my gosh, what is that? Okay, there we go. So that's our community key, our QR code to join the I Love AI community. Either one is fun. One, you get access to my Azure tenant. So obviously there's some investment there. But it's been so fun to hang out with you all. Thanks for commenting and chatting. Thanks for hanging with my tabs and moseying around. But I feel like doing this live together is really fun. And, Danielle, Sarah, Alonzo, like a lot of us, we're actually, I think we should do this like together in, a live learning lab soon. So if you all are up for it, so am I. Let's go. December is coming. I do lots of live learning labs in December because my travel schedule lightens up and I spend all my time kind of having fun building stuff. So be a builder, do more than you talk, show more than you tell, and learn by doing every single day. It's been my pleasure today chatting with you all, and I hope you learned something new. I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for being with me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.